California, beautiful beaches, stunning mountains, endless sunshine, and wildfires that seem to be getting bigger and scarier every year. If you've been following the news lately, you probably heard about some of the devastating fires that have ripped through the state, like the Dixie Fire last summer, which became one of the largest fires in California's history. But what's going on? Why do these wildfires seem to keep getting worse? And more importantly, how can we stop them from turning into massive infernos? Let's dive in. First off, California is kind of like the perfect storm for wildfires. You've got the climate, the vegetation, and the windy conditions. It's all part of nature's recipe for disaster. In the summer, the vegetation here dries out, turning into kindling just waiting to catch fire. Add some heat, a little drought, and a spark, and boom, you've got yourself a wildfire. It's like lighting a match in a dry forest. Not hard, right? But here's the kicker. California is getting hotter. So while we've always had wildfires, the intensity of these fires is cranking up thanks to climate change. In fact, 2021 saw some of the driest conditions on record. When the plants and trees are that dry, even a tiny spark from a power line or a discarded cigarette can set off a blaze that's nearly impossible to stop. And when we talk about intensity, we mean it. These fires are burning faster, hotter, and are lasting longer. The Dixie Fire, for example, burned over 963,000 acres. That's like setting the entire city of Los Angeles on fire. Not great. Now let's talk about the winds, because if you've ever lived in California, you know about those crazy Santa Ana winds. Picture this, winds gusting at up to 70 miles per hour, pushing flames across hundreds of acres in a matter of hours. These winds are like nature's fire accelerant, pushing embers miles away and starting new fires in places that were perfectly safe just moments before. You blink, and suddenly the flames are in your backyard. Scary, right? But it's not just nature doing its thing. Humans are a huge part of the wildfire problem. About 90% of wildfires in California are caused by human activity. That could mean anything from someone leaving a campfire burning after they packed up, to a spark from a lawnmower, or even something like a faulty power line. You probably heard of the campfire that devastated Paradise, California in 2018. That was sparked by a PG&E power line, and it burned down the entire town, killing over 80 people. Just one spark, one mistake. That is the reality of wildfires in California. And don't forget about fireworks. Sure, they're fun on the 4th of July, but in California's dry conditions, not so much. A spark from fireworks can easily start a fire that grows out of control before you even know what's happening. It's a tiny spark with massive consequences. But here's where things get even trickier. Climate change is making all of this worse. You've heard the term climate change. But what does it actually mean for California? In simple terms, it means hotter temperatures and more severe droughts. The state's already dry environment is getting even drier. That means the vegetation is more flammable, and the fires themselves are more intense. And it's not just about one season of fires. Fire seasons are getting longer, starting earlier and lasting later into the year. We've had wildfires in December, for crying out loud. So you might be wondering, what can we do about it? After all, it feels like California's wildfires are getting bigger than ever. Well, we can start with a few small, but powerful, actions. First, always put out your campfires completely. I'm talking about drowning it, stirring it, and making sure the coals are cool to the touch. Leave no trace of fire behind. And if you're out hiking, camping, or even just driving through fire-prone areas, keep a sharp eye out for anything that could start a fire. And when you're in a fire-prone area, especially during fire season, remember to never toss a cigarette out of the window. That little ember can cause a huge blaze in minutes. Another thing we can do is keep our community safe by reducing fuel for wildfires. This means keeping yards, homes, and public spaces clear of dry vegetation. Make sure trees and bushes around your home are spaced out and keep them trimmed back. This gives a fire fewer chances to spread. And if you live near a forest or open land, work with local authorities to create defensible space. This means clearing brush and creating a barrier that can slow or stop a fire from reaching your home. It's like building a fire shield. Now let's talk about policy changes. If we want to protect California in the long run, we need stronger policies around fire prevention and land management. Controlled burns, which might sound a little scary, are actually a good thing. These are small managed fires set intentionally to burn up dead vegetation and reduce fuel for larger wildfires. When done right, controlled burns help prevent the kinds of massive fires we're seeing today. We also need more funding for firefighting resources because, honestly, Those brave men and women who battle these fires are heroes. They deserve the best equipment and support. And finally, we need to fight climate change. I know, easier said than done, right? But reducing our carbon footprint, supporting clean energy, and advocating for climate policies are essential if we want to curb the rising temperatures and droughts that are making wildfires worse. If we don't tackle the root of the problem, we'll just keep facing bigger fires year after year. California's wildfires are scary, no doubt, but with a little awareness, some precaution, and a commitment to fighting climate change, we can protect our homes, our wildlife, and our future. Let's be part of the solution, not just bystanders to the flames. So the next time you're out in California's gorgeous wilderness, remember, be careful with fire, stay aware of the conditions, and always be part of the wildfire prevention solution. Because in a state as beautiful and fiery as California, we all have a role to play in keeping it safe.